You're going to showboat, knock down the shot.
For what his value is, it doesn't equate to winning basketball.
When you're talking about the greatest of greats, that's what you have to do. You have to nitpick.
We'll see you in the playoffs. We'll see you in the playoffs.
Welcome, everybody, to this edition of the TMF podcast. I am Jace Eustace, joined, as always, by my co-host, Jarrett Huff. Jarrett, how you doing, my man?
I'm doing pretty good for the most part. I'm doing pretty well.
That's awesome.
It's a nice sunny day outside. It's in the 70s where I'm at, so I can't complain too much. I don't know about you.
Let's not talk about the last 24 hours of snow that we've gotten here. So outside, it's just
don't
clear.
Miss that.
It's just clear white. I love it. I know you don't. That's why we now live in two separate parts of the country. But man, that's the way it is. I'm excited, and I'm excited to get into this podcast. And there's a lot of places that we could start. We took a couple weeks off after our last podcast, so there's a lot we could start with, but I think what better to start with than talking about Luka Doncic over there in Dallas, man. Luka has been on a tear as of late. He's putting together what is his best season of his young NBA career. Jared, at 23 years old, do you think that Luka Doncic should already be considered one of the players in the cream of the NBA crop?
Oh, no doubt about it. He's easily a top 5 player. You could argue he's top 3 this season. And Luka is truly putting up a career that you can already start stacking against the other great players. Yeah. Now, the problem for Luka right now is he really doesn't have a team behind him that can be competitive. The best comparison I can make is where he is right now in his career is very similar to a young Michael Jordan, where those early Bulls squads, not a lot of talent on there. I mean, Christian Wood's the second best player on the Mavericks?
Yeah,
Spencer Dinwiddie, maybe.
Easy. Dinwiddie's probably 3, yeah.
For what the talent Luka has, he's not going to be able to compete with other top teams in the West. Like, look how loaded the Pelicans are.
Yeah.
The Nuggets are a pretty decent team, even though they're not playing well right now, but you got teams like the Suns and the Warriors. Like, the West is really deep. The West goes about 9, maybe 10 teams deep that could put up a competitive series against the Dallas Mavericks, which we saw, I think, kind of like the Hawks in 2021.
Yeah.
Although I would say Mavericks much better than that Hawks team, and Luka's worlds better than Trae Young. But that Mavericks team outkicked its coverage last season. I didn't think they'd go as far as they would. Obviously, you did, because you predicted that. The second round of the Western Conference?
Over the Suns. Almost picked them over the Suns in 6 games, or no, 7 games. I think I was right. Whatever it was, I was right on.
Yeah, you were spot on for the West. I think you only missed Milwaukee. I think that was the only one you missed on.
Yeah. It was close. I had Milwaukee in 7 over Boston, and they took them to 7, but obviously they blew them out in game 7. So I was one game away from being perfect in that second round.
Yeah. But anyway, the main point I'm trying to make is don't expect Luka to be able to carry the Mavs by himself every single season like he did last year, because let's face it, he's not going to get a break like that every year. The Mavs aren't going to get a break like that every year. And I don't understand why a team in this market can't put something behind him to get this franchise to where it could be competing for finals every year. Because it would be great for the NBA if we saw Luka as a finals contender on a consistent basis. But the Mavs just aren't there yet, and it's unfortunate for Luka, especially because he's playing so well.
No, I agree with you. He's absolutely at the top of the NBA. If a lot of people will think he's the absolute top, I disagree. I think he's up there, but he currently leads the league in scoring, 34 points a game. He's also giving you 9 rebounds, 8.5 assists a game, while shooting over 50% from the field. And for someone with his usage rate too, he's only giving you 3 turnovers a game, which obviously you'd love to have 0 turnovers. But for the amount of time that he controls the basketball, to only have 3 turnovers a game, you'll take that. You'll take that on any given night. He currently has his team as a top 4 seed in the Western Conference. And I'm not saying this just because it would make me a pretty rich man, but because I did place a futures bet on him to win MVP this year, which right now is looking okay. So it's looking not too bad. I also kind of paired it with Rookie of the Year, Paolo Banchero. So I'm feeling okay about that kind of futures bet, how it's looking right now. But if the season ended, he would currently be my MVP as we sit right now. There's still a long way to go. But I don't think you can really argue that there's just one guy that is having a head and shoulders above him better season than Luka Doncic. With all that being said, I think now I don't quite understand how we're turning to this narrative where if you look around the NBA media and NBA fans as far as comments and things like that after his games, now it's starting the ball hog type of conversations with Luka Doncic and saying that he needs to spread the offense around to his teammates so much or much more. And I feel like a lot of people in the NBA media and NBA fans just like to use those statements, spread the offense around without even thinking about who the offense will be spread it around
Exactly.
to. I mean, at the end of the day, there's a lot of the guys in that Mavericks rotation. Do you really think they should be receiving more looks over Luka looks? Like, I mean, would you rather see Maxi Kleba, Dorian Finney-Smith taking more shots, or would you just give them to Luka because they have a higher percent chance of going in because it's Luka Doncic taking the shot? So I get it. Obviously, his usage rate is higher than league average. He's up there. He's controlling the basketball. He's running the offense. In an ideal world, you'd love to bring that down. You'd love to bring other guys into the scenario. But you got to think about when you're talking spread the offense around, to who? Who are you advocating to get more shots in that Dallas Mavericks offense? It doesn't make any sense to me. So I think a lot of that conversation around Luka is shown to me that he's entering that upper echelon, because once those guys get to that top of the NBA pyramid, so to speak, a lot of NBA fans, they look to poke holes in the game immediately. And I think I hate that we do that. I don't understand why we can't just be a fan and acknowledge how this player has grown into that level of player without kind of bringing other guys down. I think we can be fans of a lot of great NBA basketball players, because let's be honest, the talent level we have right now, especially at an international level, is as high as it's ever been in the NBA. There's so many great players in this league. And I think to kind of pigeonhole yourself into a corner where you can only be fans of one of those guys, it's like, well, I'm a Jokic guy or I'm a Giannis guy. It's like, I'm a fan of great basketball, and when I see it, I love to see it on the court. And I think we're at a point in this league where we're seeing that on any given night. And I know me and you have been on this for a couple of years now, basically since when we started talking about this podcast. We both feel Luka at his age has the chance to put himself in that overall GOAT conversation. Obviously, a lot of things have to happen down the road. You have to continue to put up these numbers. You have longevity. Eventually, you have to win championships. We got to see those MVPs come your way as well. But I think he's so young and he's on that path that if he continues to produce the way he's doing, he could very easily 15, 20 years down the road, we could be talking about him as that GOAT conversation. So I hate that we got to poke all these holes when these players start to elevate themselves. I hate it. I don't know how you feel about it, but that's just kind of what I'd noticed from poking around the NBA media.
Yeah. Well, I would say Luka's in pretty good company, though, if you consider it took Jordan 8 seasons to win his first title and took LeBron, 9? So
yeah,
he's
similar, yeah.
Yeah, he's in pretty good company when it comes to that. Also, with the whole ball hogging thing, you're exactly on the money. Like, who is he supposed to pass to? I mean, Jordan and Kobe got the same criticisms at points in their career. Like, all right, in those post Shaq years, who's Kobe going to pass the ball to? Shmush Parker? Like, come on.
Yeah.
I mean, so Luka, just keep doing what you're doing, and hopefully the Mavs are able to put some players around you that'll actually take some burden off you. Because as we know, these teams with high usage players really don't amount to much in the grand scheme of things when it comes to the playoffs.
No. Yeah, and I agree with you. And the ball hog things too, it works both ways too, because if people want to hate a player, they're going to find a way to hate the player. Kind of the opposite of what you said with Jordan and Kobe, how they were kind of seen as ball hogs. LeBron at the end of games gets criticized for passing to an open player and saying he doesn't have that killer mentality. So a lot of these, if you want to hate a player, you're going to find a way to hate the player. And that's just kind of the way the NBA is. So I agree with you 100%. But sticking with LeBron, nice little transition there. Let's head on over to the AD list Lakers, who have now turned to 38-year-old LeBron James to keep them relevant. And LeBron, I'd say he's kind of answered the call. They have not completely fallen out of the West. Obviously, they're still not title contenders at this point. I don't think they will hit that point, but he's given his team 29 points per game, shooting 51% from the field, and adding 8 rebounds and 6 assists as well. So, Jared, I mentioned during our last podcast a few weeks ago, I no longer had LeBron in my top 10 players in the NBA currently. We all know how I feel about him all the time. There's no need to get into that today, but I decided I was going to go through my personal list and I was going to see where I truly had him. And I overspoke on myself. I still have him as a top 10 player in the league. And I put my list together in case you wanted to hear it, just to kind of see where everything fell. This was just kind of me looking around, and obviously this is current, how I see players currently this season in the NBA. Number one, I have Giannis. I have Giannis as the clear-cut best player in the NBA. He's unstoppable. You cannot stop him from getting to the rim. He has worked a little bit on his jump shot. It's still not lethal, but he is one of the best drivers of the basketball we've ever seen. He's getting better at the playmaking. His rebounding, it seems like he can, if he ever wanted to, can just go get 20 rebounds a night. And we've seen that in the playoffs where he's decided, I'm going to be the best rebounder on the court. I think he's clear-cut number one. Number two, I have Luka. I have Luka with the way that he's playing right now. I think he's the second best player in the NBA. His usage rate, obviously, we talked about, is so high. But his shooting from the outside, although it can be streaky, he can just kind of hit these nights where he's not going to miss. He's going to put up 50 points, and he's going to drag his team to the win. Number three, I currently have Joel Embiid. I think it's been a little quiet for Joel. If you kind of go back and look at his numbers, he's putting up huge numbers. And I know the big concern, obviously, early in his career was his health, and he's been really good about that. You know, they kind of mismanaged, or I don't want to say they mismanaged him, but they eased him in a little bit with his minutes when he started to get healthy. But Joel Embiid has been fantastic. Number four, Kevin Durant. A lot of people see me probably as a Kevin Durant hater because of the whole LeBron KD thing. KD's been fantastic. He's been the leader of that Brooklyn Nets team. I have them solid right there, number four. And number five might surprise some people too. Jason Tatum. You know, Jason Tatum, I know he has played himself into the top of the league. He has carried that Boston Celtics team. Obviously, he's got a lot of good players around him. I was a fan of Jason Tatum coming out of college. I thought he was the clear-cut best player in that draft. I think he didn't go. I think he went number 3 or something like that, if I'm not mistaken, thinking back. But Jason Tatum has played himself into the top 5 player in the NBA. You know, he still fluctuates a little bit more than the other guys just because he doesn't have that track record. He's still pretty young. I got him at number 5. Number 6, I have Steph Curry. When he's healthy, I have him on the court as one of the best players in the league. We saw at the beginning of the season, he gets his numbers. He's still, I mean, he's obviously the best shooter to ever play this game. He can still knock him down. Number 7.
I gotta say,
go ahead, cut in.
Some snow caps in Denver, Colorado might be melting, man. Those mountaintops, they're looking a little bare.
I know a lot of people are probably thinking that. Number 7 though is where I put LeBron. I put LeBron as number 7, where I think the way that he's playing this game right now, obviously he doesn't have that kind of effect on winning that we've seen before, where he can just drag a team to a victory, where maybe his numbers, people like to say, you know, his numbers used to be more impactful. And I understand that. Like, just kind of, it seems like he can't control the game the way he used to at any given moment. He's still a fantastic player in this league. It's weird. Anybody else taking those fadeaway mid-range shots, I'm like, there's no way that's going in. And LeBron ends up taking 10 of them a night, and he makes 8 of them, and it just doesn't make any sense whatsoever. I got LeBron right now as number 7. Number 8, I put Nikola Jokic. I understand a lot of people have him a lot higher. I think, and this is maybe controversial, I think without him winning the MVP the last 2 years, we'd be really talking about him in the MVP conversation this year. I think it's really hard to give someone it 3 times in a row, especially when you haven't seen the postseason success. But I got Jokic there at number 8. Now, when you get to 9, 10, and the couple guys that are outside the top 10, it can get really, you know, who do you prefer? This might be a little bit of recency bias. I went with Donovan Mitchell. I know he just put up the 71 points. I understand he does not give you much of anything on the defensive side, if anything on the defensive side. And there's been a lot of holes in his game. But looking at his numbers, he's scoring the basketball really efficiently. I know he's giving you about 5 rebounds, 5 assists a game, which isn't anything to write home about. But he's on one of the best teams, I think, in the Eastern Conference. He's exactly what they needed. And I think they've kind of opened up that next tier for Donovan Mitchell to really be a bona fide scorer in this league. I have him as 9. I understand that might be controversial. Number 10, I put Zion. When Zion was on the court, he was a top 10 player in this league. I even considered moving him up to 9. So I think he is right there at number 10. He's unstoppable, kind of like Giannis, plays the game a little bit more bully ball, but it's such a shame to see him go down with that injury now, just because he was trending in the direction. I know I saw you on social media. You were upset. I think you were upset when you saw that Zion was going to be out, because he's such a great watch. That whole Pelicans team is. He's great when he's on the court. He's unstoppable. So that's who I have as my top 10. And then honorable mention, I put Ja, Booker, Kyrie, and then I also have Pascal Siakam, who almost made my cut. He's been playing out of his mind as of late. So I got to say, I overspoke. LeBron is still a top 10 player in this league. That was just kind of a spur of the moment thing. But going through the numbers, I have him as the seventh best player in the league as we currently sit right now.
I mean, we all have those like in the moment takes where
Yeah,
like we'll look back and be like,
I overspoke a little
like
bit.
I,
Yeah.
I know I have takes. I got one off the top of my head right now that like I still kind of keeps me up, and I'm like, really, did I go there? Yeah, so it happens to all of us. For me, I still definitely have LeBron in my top 10. He's never been outside my top 10. Personally, I think I'd have to put him at number 8.
Okay.
At this time, I would put Jokic ahead of him.
Yeah.
So we have the same top 8. I just have Jokic ahead of LeBron,
Okay.
somewhere in there. But yeah, LeBron, I would place 8th. I mean, still averaging 29 points per game,
Yeah.
8.2 rebounds, 6 assists. And those are great numbers. It's just they're starting to like it's kind of like calories. Like you want to eat some good food so you have good calories. These calories not doing
Yeah.
so much for your body right now. It's not really keeping you as healthy. You probably could be eating something better. Because yes, the Lakers have been playing better than what they started the season off with, and the
Mhm.
Lakers haven't totally fallen flat without AD to where they're actually winning games on some nights. Sure, they're against easier teams that the Lakers should be winning against, but
Yeah.
hey, they're still not dropping games all the time, and LeBron obviously is a big part of that. A concerning number though is LeBron's only shooting 30% from 3 this year, which that's the lowest in
Yeah.
years.
He's streaky.
Um,
He's also shooting a lot more than he normally does. 100%. Yeah.
yeah, so but hey, LeBron's doing stuff at 38 that no one else has ever done. So you got to hand it to the man, whether it's emptier calorie numbers
Yeah.
or not. Those numbers are still numbers.
No, absolutely. Don't even get me started on the Lakers Heat game the other night where they somehow pulled out a victory without Braun, without AD. I'm just
Yeah, that
Dennis
hurts.
Schroeder drops 31 points to the Miami Heat and gets the win. I don't know what's going on with Miami. That's a conversation for a different day. But regardless of how you feel about the all-time rankings, I implore you, just admire some greatness while he's still here. He's not going to be doing this forever. Regardless of if you are never coming off the Jordan Hill or that does not even matter to you, just admire a little bit of greatness at his age, the way that he's still doing it, because it will not be around forever. So moving on now to some all-star game voting. And Jared, we got the first returns of the all-star votes. And in true podcast fashion, we got to talk about what we liked, what we hated about these numbers. In the West, LeBron leads all vote getters with Kevin Durant currently leading the East. Jared, what were some of the things that you got from the first returns? What were some of the things you think they got right and some of the things that you think they got wrong?
Well, with the fans, it's a popularity contest. The popular players
100%.
are going to get in. I mean, obviously, there's Kyle Kuzma's up there, Nick Claxton, who's got more votes than Jared Allen. You have, I mean, and I love him. And hey, shout out to the fans out there that still give this guy respect. But Derrick Rose is top 9 in All-Star voting, and he's not even in the rotation. And he's not in the Knicks rotation because he's just not good anymore. Because honestly, I think Derrick Rose is probably his top 5 player on that team, maybe even higher. Still, I mean, we saw a couple of years ago, he was the best player in that playoff series against the Hawks. But Derrick Rose isn't playing basketball essentially right now.
Yeah.
I think the last time he touched the floor was when he was in Chicago, and Tibbs was like, all right, Derrick, I'll throw you a bone. The fans want it. Let's make it happen. You have Russell Westbrook, who has been playing better in his 6-man role.
Yeah.
I will give him that.
Yeah.
But is he the 6th best guard in the West? No. Also, correct me if I'm wrong. Why are we still making DeMar DeRozan a guard in the Eastern? He should be in the front court voting, yet he's in the guard voting. And it makes no sense to me. The man does not play minutes at the shooting guard. Hell, Zach LaVine barely plays minutes at the shooting guard. He's playing minutes at the small forward. DeMar is a small forward or a power forward.
Yeah.
He should be in the front court voting. It makes no sense why he's considered backcourt. It just
they
makes no sense.
They made the precedent where they changed the rules back when they made it so you can have 3 forwards, basically the center position they basically eliminated just so that they can have Jokic and Embiid and who is it? Yeah, whatever. But they went and they kind of changed the position list. But I agree with you. DeMar DeRozan, they just kind of say, oh, he's a 2 guard maybe because back when he was in his first, second, third year in the league, he played 2 guard. And that's what they're sticking with. It makes no sense. But
yeah, it's like, I don't know. They just don't update their like what the players actually
They
do.
don't check
I don't
basketball
understand
reference, apparently.
I don't understand what goes into that decision making of
Yeah.
where they put players. Also, Austin Reeves is ninth. So here's the thing. Yes, the fan vote won't count. And this is the first fan vote. So this isn't like what would be the final fan totals,
Yeah,
obviously.
yeah.
But thankfully, it's only, I think, what is it, 50% of,
Or is it a third? I think it might be a third. It's
I
like
hope it's
50
third.
fan, 50 media, and then 50 coaches or something like that. Or is that I might be thinking of a different sport. One of the
I
sports
forget
is
how
like
they
that.
split it, but the
Yeah.
fan vote should not exist. I'm in favor for eliminating it because at the end of the day, all-star votes and all-star selections should be legacy awards because those were players in the moment where like we don't let the fans vote on all NBA. Why are we letting them vote on the all-star game?
You're right. It is 50%, by the way.
Oh, that's ridiculous. Because like obviously players in the larger markets that are probably undeserving of the votes are going to get the votes. Like Kevon Looney, major market. He's in
Kevon
the Bay
Looney,
Area.
man.
He's 10th.
Ugh.
Austin Reeves, Los Angeles, second largest market in the NBA.
Lakers' third best player.
Yeah.
Austin Reeves.
Westbrook is up there. I mean, even though LeBron deserves it, realistically, he should not have the most votes. But he's just gonna be he's LeBron James and he's still really good at basketball and he's in Los Angeles.
Yeah.
The shocking thing though is that Julius Randle isn't on there at all.
Yeah,
he's in
didn't
New
even
York.
crack the top 10. Yeah.
And apparently Knicks fans like him again. But he's also playing really good basketball again. So.
This week they're a fan of
this
Julius
week
Randle.
they like him, but we'll just check back in March. We'll see.
Oh man.
But I guess you could chalk that up to Nick Claxton, Brooklyn, New York, same market. Like it's frustrating. Fans don't deserve to vote because let's be honest. I've seen y'all on Twitter. I've seen y'all in our comments. A lot of y'all don't know what you're talking about.
100%.
This was some of you. I know it. I love Derrick Rose, but as the biggest Derrick Rose fan, like look at this. I'm just like Derrick Rose is my guy.
But honesty.
I'm not voting for him.
Yeah.
I'm not voting for him. He's not playing.
100%.
All right, that's the end of my rant. If you want to say anything, I'm sorry. I took up a lot of air.
No, you're good. You're good. I hate fan vote. I'm with you 100% in All-Star games, Pro Bowls, whatever else that they're in, because let's be honest, fans are short for fanatics, and that's what they are. They're going to vote for, they don't care about who's objectively deserves All-Star recognition. Some of the quick issues I had, some of the ones that you said as well. Andrew Wiggins is over Lauri Markkanen. Like, let's put some respect on Lauri Markkanen's name.
He's over Paul George.
Yeah, he has been fantastic this year. Kevon Looney in that top 10, as you mentioned. Austin Reeves in that top 10. Derrick Rose in the top 10. Like, those were some of the issues where you just come to expect that with the fan vote. There's going to be some of those guys that fall in there. I did like to see Pascal Siakam getting some recognition. He has been underrated up there in Toronto. I would put him even higher than Jimmy Butler. I know he's ranked right below Jimmy Butler, but I think that's really fair. I think he's been better than Jimmy this season. I think Jimmy would tell you Pascal Siakam has been better than Jimmy this season. I love to see Paolo Banchero crack that top 10 in the East. I think the East front court, there is some room for him there. Obviously not in the starting position, but he's been great. He's been averaging over 20 points a game as a rookie. He's kind of the bright spot there in Orlando, who, yeah, they're a young team. They're not winning a lot, but got some talented pieces down there. We talked about Franz Wagner a lot last season, but I think Paolo has been fantastic. Shea getting some respect he deserves there. Zion in the top 4 of the Western front court is some things I'd love to see, but I think you're right. This is exactly what we expected from those kind of first returns, the top heavy hitters, all there at the top, some young first timers getting some respect. And then as always, some craziness in the bottom of that top 10. And that's just kind of what fan voting is, especially in the NBA. So a lot of these things will change. It is 50% of the vote, though. I agree with you. I don't think LeBron should be the leader, but I think people just also look at it's kind of ever since they switched where you get to draft your team, you have that kind of team captain. LeBron's been there every single year and he hasn't lost. So people are like, hey, we want to see if LeBron can keep that streak going. So, and I think it's great TV. If it is LeBron and KD again, where they're up there doing the draft, they do a great job and putting their teams together. So I think people love to see that with those NBA on TNT guys.
Also, little side, those all-star jerseys are ass. Just awful. Like either come up with something good or let's just go back to where the players are wearing their own jerseys. Because you could make it work within the mix of the conferences. You just make one wear colors, one wear white. Like
absolutely. You definitely could.
The Lakers will wear their yellow.
Wear their homes.
Something like that.
You could work it out.
It's just they're bad. They're so bad.
Oh man. Moving on. Jared, a few weeks ago, we talked about the Warriors that they were apparently, or we thought, going to be in a little bit of a free fall in the West. Since then, they've had some big performances by Jordan Poole, stepped up in the absence of Steph Curry. And how about the resurgence of Klay Thompson, man? Klay Thompson's helped them stay afloat for now with Curry out. So looking at the Western Conference right now, do you still see them as a playoff team the way you look around that conference?
I do. Steph Curry's going to be back at some point this season. And they're showing they can relatively keep it afloat without him. And I see some teams in there that could easily fall out. The Kings and the Blazers, even though the Kings, shout out to them because I was ragging on them before the season, just basically like saying like, yeah, they're not going to do anything. They haven't made the playoffs since 2006. And with De'Aaron Fox as their best player, Sabonis, whoever you want to pick, still don't see much.
Yeah.
I would agree with probably with Sabonis, but I see the Kings and Blazers as teams that could possibly fall below the Warriors. I don't see the Timberwolves getting together anytime soon, and they still don't have Towns. So they're probably going to stay down there. I still think the Lakers are a bad team, even with AD, and I don't think they're going to rise above, which, by the way, DeMarcus Cousins is going to work out for them. So that's a little thing.
Yeah,
that's
and they signed, who was it, Sterling Brown or something like that? They just signed
10-day
a 10-day
contract. Yeah. So now they have a few more. I mean, Sterling Brown's kind of a G League level player, but DeMarcus Cousins, I don't care. He's a real player. He's a real guy.
He's a backup center, 100%.
That roster, that roster doesn't have a lot of real guys. Although, what's his face, Thomas Bryant, also
he's been playing really well. Yeah. I mean, when AD comes back, he's giving himself some minutes. I will say that. That.
Yeah, he's about one of the 4 real players on that team.
Yeah.
But yeah, so I could see the Warriors passing up the Kings and Blazers and getting into like a playoff spot. I mean, they're probably going to be a play-in team at this point. Who knows? But I do see them making the playoffs. Shout out to Klay Thompson. I think he had like 54 points the other night, which I'm not a Warriors fan. I've hated Warriors most of the last decade. I actually rooted for LeBron in the 2016 finals over the Warriors because I'm like, if they passed up the Bulls record of 72 wins, they better not win the championship because then you could still claim that the Chicago Bulls are the greatest team of all time. Although, I mean, even though that Warriors team didn't beat our record, it's hard to argue against a KD Curry Warriors team. That's the greatest talented roster of all time. But you know what? My 72-10 Bulls won the championship. So what
don't mean a thing without a ring.
Exactly. But yeah, no, that was a very long B point I got off on. I just want to say, don't like the Warriors, but I've always rooted for Klay Thompson, always a stand-up guy, and I'm just so happy to see him finding success, finding bits of his old self that we've seen him struggle with at times last season and into this season, which has been unfortunate. But seeing him get 54, that was awesome. So I want to see more of it from Klay. I like it. The NBA is better when Klay is on his game.
100%. He's one of the most likable players in the NBA. How could you hate Klay Thompson? You know,
there's some problems with you if you do.
Even back when he was taking shots at LeBron, talking about he got his feelings hurt and stuff like that. I'm still it's Klay though. You know, it's Klay. I love Klay. You know, I think there's still a playoff team. I don't think there's anybody in the West that's currently running away with that conference. And I agree with you. I literally wrote down I'm a skeptic. I feel the Kings and the Blazers are going to fall off at some point. And they've started to slide down through that conference. Let's be honest, with the play-in right now, as long as they're a top 12 team, nobody really wants to see them healthy in a play-in scenario. I mean, they are the Golden State Warriors. They have that championship pedigree. If Steph Curry's there, they have the shooting of Steph Curry. If Jordan Poole is clicking, they basically have Steph Curry 2.0 coming off that bench as well. So they literally, in the struggling West, I look at them as a playoff team. They're 20-19 right now at that 9 seed, but they have the same number of wins as the Kings, who are 5 spots, or they're in that 5 spot with 20 wins. So I see them as a playoff team. Their season is absolutely not over yet, as I thought it was going to be with Steph Curry going out. But I think Jordan Poole, who really, it's when Steph Curry goes out, he kind of steps into that starter role, realizes he has to be a scorer, where it seems like he's kind of lost a little bit of that luster coming off the bench with Steph Curry there. And it's when they paid him, they wanted him to continue to be aggressive coming off the bench. That's what made them so dangerous, is that second unit putting up a lot of points with Jordan Poole. And it's going to be interesting to see how things kind of work out, maybe he plays himself into the rotation where they kind of have to start Steph and Jordan Poole kind of at the 1 and the 2, move Klay Thompson down to the 3 and kind of work your rotation out that way. But we'll see where things go. I know Steve Kerr, he's going to figure some things out. He's a great head coach over there in Golden State. So I still see them as a playoff team in the Western Conference. So moving on, Jared, I know you prepared something here at the end of the contest, or at the end of the contest, end of the podcast. So what you got going on for us?
All right, so we're approaching midway through the season very soon, so we might as well do a little contenders or pretenders. I'm going to field 3 teams from every conference out to Jace, and he's going to give his opinions on whether this team's a contender or a pretender. All right, the first team I'm going to throw out to you is I got the Denver Nuggets.
Denver Nuggets.
Top of the conference right now.
Denver Nuggets. I'm going to give them contender. I think the way the Western Conference is right now, I don't think we'd be surprised if you said one of like 7 teams ends up coming out of that Western Conference. So I think that makes them a contender in the Western Conference to get to the NBA Finals. I think Nikola Jokic has played really well. Jamal Murray, we've kind of seen him try to get all the way back from his injuries. He's shown flashes of that. He's still not quite the player he was before the injury. I still want to see more from Michael Porter Jr., who talked about how he's a top 10 shooter in the NBA or top 5 shooter the NBA has ever seen. I need to see a lot more from him. I think they have solid role players, though, especially underrated Aaron Gordon. Gordon's been
having a good season.
It's been fantastic all season. He's been a great power forward right there along Nikola Jokic, but I'm going to give them the contender status.
So what you're saying then is Ja and the Grizzlies should be worried.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely, they should be worried. I mean, Jaren Jackson Jr. is great, but Nikola Jokic, what he provides from that center position, as far as his playmaking, they should scare anybody, 100%.
All right, now moving over to the East, I'm going to throw out the Brooklyn Nets, which they are 9-1 in their last 10 games because the Bulls broke yet again another streak as we've done since like 2012. So just want to throw that out there. Shout out Bulls.
Oh, man. I'm going to give them pretender. I'm going to give them a pretender because I know it's coming, and I don't know what it is, but something is coming down the road that will disrupt this team. It'll probably be Kyrie Irving led one way or another. We have yet to see playoff success with this core. I think the height they've gotten to is the second round. They've never gotten to a conference finals. The Brooklyn Nets have with this core. I think they're a pretender. I think they've done great here in the regular season. They have the talent level to beat anybody on any given night. But I'm looking over there in the Eastern Conference, and there's 2, probably even 3 teams I would pick over them in a series that I think are tougher. I think that would have the talent, and I think would have less distractions off the court, be able to take them in a playoff series.
All right. Now I'm going to throw out the New Orleans Pelicans.
Contender. I think they're absolutely contender, barring health. You know, Zion needs to be healthy. They're just not the same team out there with Zion. But I think a lot of the run they were doing, too, before he got hurt was either with Brandon Ingram or with a kind of hobbled Brandon Ingram, too. And he's supposed to be their second best player and their second best scorer on that team. So I think all healthy. I think they're young. And a lot of the times when you're young, I feel like you kind of don't know what you don't know. Like you can kind of just go into a playoff series where last year they got in, you know, kind of they're in that playoff right there at the play-in, I should say, right there towards the end. And I think you look at them, they have a lot of talent. They're growing. I really like their head coach down there. He seems to really kind of galvanize that team. And I'm going to give them the contender status because I wouldn't be surprised if they're in a conference final. I wouldn't be surprised if they played hard in that conference final and gave themselves a chance to go in the NBA Finals.
All right. Moving back east, we have the Cleveland Cavaliers.
Contender. Absolute contender. I went on the record in the offseason when they traded for Donovan Mitchell that was exactly what that team needed. I think they were strong defensively, obviously with the guys down low and Evan Mobley and Jared Allen. They can protect the rim. Darius Garland, I think he's a really good player. I think he serves you best if he's scoring 15 points a night and he's getting around 10 points per game. It's really nice to see. He got the all-star nod last year, but I think Donovan Mitchell is the key to that team because he's exactly what I think Miami needs. He is a killer, and he goes out there on any given night, and his one goal is to score the basketball. And as we saw, putting up 71 points, the most points we've seen since Kobe's 81, he can score the basketball. He's doing it at an incredibly efficient rating. He's the only one in the top 10 of scoring in the NBA that's shooting 40% from the three-point line this season. He's been fantastic. So he's the key to that team. They are definitely a contender.
All right. Moving to our final team in the Western Conference, we have the defending champion Golden State Warriors.
That is such a tough one because I want to count them out. I want to say that they are contender or they're a pretender. I want to say that there's no way that they can go through what they've gone through this season, come back and win it. I'm gonna say pretender. I maybe I'm wrong here. Maybe they come back and they do. I didn't think they were gonna win the championship last year, but they proved everybody wrong in that aspect. I think they're a pretender. I don't think they have what it takes now in that Western Conference, even with the healthy Steph Curry. Draymond's getting older. That defense isn't what it used to be. You know, Klay Thompson, how he can still be great, but he's still pretty streaky as things go. I'm going to go with them being as a pretender in the Western Conference. There's just too many teams that I would like over them right now in a playoff series.
All right, moving back east for our final team, I have your Miami Heat.
Pretenders, 100% pretenders. And it pains me to say it. It really does, because we talk about this team where they were one shot away from going to their second NBA Finals in 3 years. And when they get into the playoffs, yeah, they play hard, and no one wants to see the Miami Heat, regardless if they're the 7 matching up against the 2. I don't think anybody really counts out Miami just because of the way that they play. They can lock you down at the defensive end. It's just all about if they're going to get enough offense. And a lot of people on some of the TikToks we post, when I was saying, hey, the Miami Heat need a killer, they were like, oh, well, Tyler Hero doesn't give you enough. No, he doesn't. And I'm sorry, I love Tyler Hero, but Tyler Hero is a very streaky player as well. He is what he is. Bam Adebayo has, this last 2 weeks or so, he's been fantastic, but we've seen more 30-point games from him this season than we've seen in his entire career so far. So I just don't know if there's going to be enough offense at the end of the day, where in the playoffs, your defense can take you so far, but at the end of the day, you have to score the basketball. And Jimmy Butler, he has those games where he can pop off for 40 and 45, but he also has those games where he scores 13 and 15, where it's like, I don't know if there's going to be enough offense at the end of the day. So unfortunately, my Miami Heat, I have to say right now, they're a pretender, because I would pick probably 4 teams in the Eastern Conference over them. So for them to make a deep run, I think they have to make a move, and I don't foresee a move out there to be made. And I don't think Miami's going to pull the trigger on that. So I got to say they're pretenders. Man, that's a tough one to say, but I got to stick with it.
Sorry I had to throw that one at you.
No,
man.
that's fine. It's a good one. I got to be honest. I don't foresee them making a big run. Hopefully they change my mind down the stretch, but as of right now, they're definitely a pretender. So I see the West a lot more wide open than I see the East, the way that I see things right now, which is really flip-flops from last season. It seems like it goes back and forth every season now, which is a lot of fun to see. So
even though I don't like the Heat as a franchise, as a Jimmy Butler fan, I too would like to see them competitive this year, as long as it doesn't mess with my Bulls. But who knows, the Bulls may be out of it by then. Although I still have a little hope that we'll make a first-round appearance.
We'll see, man. We'll see. Now it's time for our last segment here on the TMO podcast. That is, of course, Tee 'em Up. So, Jared, it's been a couple of weeks. Who's getting your technical foul this time around?
I feel like this might have been my last technical foul.
Okay.
But if you can tell, this is the team I'm going to be riding for today in this Tee 'em Up. I am teeing up any ref that had any part in our little series against the Cleveland Cavaliers over the past week. We faced the Cavs twice. Once, I think it was on New Year's Eve or New Year's Eve, whatever. And then a couple nights ago, again, when Donovan Mitchell scored 71 points, which only happened because the refs allowed it. I have never seen probably worse officiating toward one side in any game in a long time. I'm furious. I'm still heated about it. The Bulls, in the most recent game against Cavaliers, had a 21-point lead, which was evaporated because Cleveland got to the free throw line 29 times in a half. Donovan Mitchell himself went to the line for 25 free throws. 29 free throws to the Bulls 16. The Bulls had 16 in the first half as well to the Cavs 14, so pretty even there. But the second half, I don't know. The Bulls continue to be one of the most disrespected teams in the NBA. And this is not just me complaining as a Bulls fan. I'm not the only one. If you looked on Twitter that night, anyone watching that game, if it wasn't for DeMar Hamlin, which, by the way, DeMar Hamlin, we are so happy to hear that you're doing better.
Absolutely.
It was just announced today he's breathing on his own. I know this is a basketball podcast, but sports is a community, and we're just happy to hear that he is on the up and up and looks like he'll probably make a full recovery, which is the most
100%.
important thing.
100%.
Yeah. But anyway, the thing that didn't seem as important in the moment was the Bulls game that was going on. And anyone that was paying attention, you saw media too talking about it, where the media was even saying it was skewed in the Cavs' favor. It was ridiculous. The Bulls should be 19-19 right now. But a team trying to dig itself out of the hole, it's gotten even tougher because in both last 2-minute reports, DeMar DeRozan was fouled on his game-winning attempt on the New Year's Eve game, which the way DeMar's been at the line probably would have sank both, or at least that should have been a Bulls win because DeMar DeRozan, king of the fourth, he's clutch at the line. Now, the last 2-minute action report should have been another Bulls win because Jarrett Allen, who got an offensive board, traveled, which I saw clear as day. My roommate saw clear as day. Anyone watching saw clear as day. But no one went uncalled, so Cleveland got another chance. Donovan Mitchell gets fouled, goes to the line, and of course, he's going to attempt to miss the free throw, so Cleveland can hopefully get a rebound, which usually doesn't work too often because free throws are set up to where the team that's on defense should get the ball and it changes possession. Well, that didn't happen. Maybe you want to blame Pat Williams because he didn't box out, but maybe you should blame the officials for letting Donovan Mitchell soar off the line before the ball is even coming down. The ball is still ascending in the air as Donovan Mitchell is charging to get the rebound, which, ladies and gentlemen, we call that a lane violation, which is usually waved off. Possession goes to the team that was not offending on that play. And, is that a Bulls win? Oh, so that is 2 games in a row that have been stolen. The Bulls should be on a 5-game win streak right now. It should be even longer, but we lost to the Rockets for reasons I can't explain. But regardless, Bulls should be on a 5-game win streak. They should be at 19-19, heading to play Philadelphia today. But no, we're sitting here at 17-21. So team up the officials because they can't do their jobs. NBA, you got to do better because a lot of fans aren't, and this is not just as a Bulls fan. I've watched other games this year where the officiating has been horrible. It's going to get to the point where fans aren't going to trust the game. And I'm done. I'm sick. I'm upset. It's causing more stress. I have no hair. See that? That's stress.
You blaming that on the NBA refs? So I love it.
Clean up the refs.
You sound like me after the first 2 games of the Miami-Boston series last year, where I literally went into a deep dive and made a TikTok on the free throw disparity between the Miami Heat and the Boston Celtics.
You can clip that whole thing and make a TikTok. Go ahead, please do.
That was a good one, man. I gotta give my technical foul out now. I want to be real specific when I'm handing this one out. I am teeing up social media Michael Jordan defenders.
Can it be Skip Bayless? We don't like him on our side.
God, don't even get me started on him over the last week or so. That man got canceled so hard he went on to Undisputed and started defending LeBron. It's like, bro, we're not even listening to you right now. Look, we see through your posts, Michael Jordan defenders. Every time LeBron does anything now at his age, whether he's scoring 40 points in back-to-back games at 38 years old, he's becoming the youngest and the oldest to ever do this, that, or the other. Whether he's about to overtake Kareem as the greatest scorer that this league has ever seen, we see that propaganda machine just start right back up. And no one interjects themselves into a conversation or a post that has nothing to do with Jordan than Jordan defenders. And it gives people kind of like you who think that Michael Jordan is the GOAT. That's fine. That's a conversation that everyone can have. It gives logical people with logical reasoning and people that have spent years studying and watching and following the game of basketball a bad name, because they just come in with the most outlandish just statements just to blow out someone's candle to make Jordan's brighter. Bro, I understand those defenders feel threatened. If they did not feel threatened by LeBron in his career, they would never feel the need to come out and say anything anytime LeBron sets this record, does this, that, or the other. but they feel the need to do it because they feel the need to defend their favorite player they grew up watching, their star, their hero, whatever it is. They feel it's okay. Like, I know that they're hurt. I know they're scared, but every time they try to diminish another accomplishment, they just make their side look worse. And every time, man, it's like, we'll see. Oh, LeBron has turned 38 years old, and he's played 2 games since then, and he scored 40 points in both those games. And then all of a sudden we hear, well, Jordan, over 38, scored 40 in 8 different games in his career. Yeah, he also played, like, was it 240 games after the age of 38? LeBron's played 2. We're not making a comparison. It's like a statement. It's like can we just congratulate one player without always bringing in the other? I understand there's GOAT debates. I understand there's conversations. It's always going to be LeBron versus Jordan. That's the way it is. But these Jordan defenders who put themselves into these situations that Jordan wasn't even brought up, you do not have to diminish someone else's career or attempt to diminish someone else's career, because in my mind, you just make yourself look dumb and you make your side look worse and threatened than by just coming to someone's post and just saying, like, hey, yeah, but Jordan did this and Jordan did that. And it makes no sense. Like, just be okay and be a fan of your player. Defend who you'd like when the conversation comes up. But it's okay to admire greatness, which is why I get along with you, because you can admire LeBron is great. He has been great for a long time. We disagree at the very top. That's healthy conversation. It should always be that way. And those Jordan defenders on social media are so quick to point out anything on the LeBron side. And I'm just so sick of it. And every single time that we're seeing these LeBron posts pop up, because now anything that he does, it's going to become, he's becoming the oldest to do things. And it's, these things are going to come, and I can't even imagine what's going to happen in a couple of months when he breaks the all-time scoring record. And at this rate, if he's scoring 40 points a game, it's going to happen even quicker. But we know it
burn down.
We know what's going to happen. And it's like, you can congratulate someone without just bringing your guy into the conversation. It's like, I just hate the world we live in where you can't congratulate. So you have to blow out someone else's candle to make yours burn brighter. And I hate that. I'm like, can we just congratulate everybody? Technical foul, social media, Michael Jordan defenders.
LeBron stands and Jordan stands has to be the most toxic marriage in world history.
They'll forever be tied at the hip.
Both sides are awful to each other.
It makes no sense. Like, if you want to have logical conversations, logical debates, you want to sit there going to stats, things that we can see, like, you just, the hatred, the absolute hatred on both sides, it's ridiculous. And now that we're seeing, because obviously Michael Jordan has been done playing for a long time, so we still think LeBron is still doing things. He's still adding to his career. So of course we're seeing the attack from the Jordan side. It's insane, man. It's crazy.
So funny. The debate's like politics, because you got like you and me, we're a little more in the middle. We're each on a side, like one's on the left, one's on the right, but we're like reasonable. And then you 100%. Get the extremists on the far sides. I don't know what your extreme sides, like the face of it is. My side, unfortunately, has Skip Bayless, that jackass.
Yeah, I'm sorry to hear that.
Yeah, I don't know who your face is. There's probably someone out there that's
most people would probably say in the national media would be Nick Wright. They'd say it's Nick Wright.
Yeah, but Nick Wright's like, I mean, he gets kind of a little like outlandish, like he plays a little bit. Yeah, but he's smart. He's like a smart person. Like, he's annoying, but he's smart.
I don't think he
Bayless
goes
is an idiot.
I don't think he goes too far. But there's a lot of people will say he's just a LeBron writer. So if you're thinking of a face, I mean, Shannon's kind of that way too. Shannon Sharp, obviously, but he's on LeBron's side. But
I still have respect for Shannon Sharp.
Neither of those two hold a candle to Skip Bayless and his hatred of LeBron. I don't think there's anyone on the LeBron side that can
undisputed Undisputed does not survive. At least in its current format, Undisputed won't survive till March.
It's the one I don't watch. 100%.
I don't watch it either. I watch other people post the clips of them melting down at each other.
It's the one I don't watch. It is the one that I skip over 100%. And it's the way it is, man. But basketball, it forever gives and it forever takes away, man. But that's all we have this week on the TMO podcast. I want to thank you guys all for joining us along, following us along on all of our social media platforms throughout the week for some fun NBA content. TikTok has been a lot of fun. I'm finishing up now our all drafted teams. If players can only play for the team that draft them, after the one that I just posted not too long ago, there's only one more to go. So then all 32 teams will be up there. Be sure to check those out. A lot of other fun NBA content. Jared's been working on his redrafts. He's getting now close to about
well,
recent.
I'm gonna give a little break on that just because at least progressing forward, just because like it's too like I don't want to redraft the 2019 draft just yet.
Yeah,
like,
no, I feel you.
I'm probably gonna start rolling that out maybe once a year just because I don't want to redraft after 2 seasons because a lot can change.
100%.
But I am gonna start going back in time to like the 70s and 60s, and I'm really feeling it 50s, but probably not that far. I don't know. We'll see.
Absolutely. So be sure to follow along on all that stuff on our social media. It's been a lot of fun, and we'll catch you guys on the next one.
And remember, officiating in all sports could and should be done by robots.